some minor nitpicks, major nitpicks, and some legitimate criticisms for this movie, even though it's probably one of my second favorite ones in the series, so that's not saying much, because X-Men movies aren't, the best. First, I want to talk about a minor criticism with Wolverine's line near the end of the movie where he says, "I'm glad to see everyone back." Sure, you showed a few of the OGs near the end, like Rogue and Cyclops and stuff like that, but there's no Pyro, there's no Angel, there's no Jubilee. Jubilee's not until the next movie where they recast her. Oh, and this movie's all about resetting the timeline, so they could put basically, any New Mutant into the past, and it would work. But let's talk about before they reset the timeline, because this whole movie is about resetting the timeline, which will be a bit confusing if you don't watch the movie or have seen any of the other movies. But the whole movie is about resetting the timeline, though there's two things about the past that obviously aren't reset yet that they mess with. Trask was in X-Men 3. He was a bit of a tall black dude. In this movie, he's a short white dude. This is before they reset the timeline. It makes no sense. And then one thing they kept bringing up throughout the movie is that Charles is controlling, and he never let Mystique do anything she wanted. He didn't let her make her own choices. He made choices for her. So in the ending of X-Men First Class, didn't they do that? They literally reference his legs a bunch, about how he lost his legs in X-Men First Class, which was the scene where he lets Mystique make her own choice. Did the directors just watch 2 seconds of that scene? He tells her, "Go with Magneto if you want to. I know you want to. Just go." He lets her make her own choice. The whole movie's about how he didn't let her make her choice, and there's even an argument on the plane between him and Magneto, where Charles says, "You took her away from me." No, you literally told her to go with Magneto, but okay. Bishop is in this movie, and Sunspot, two of my favorite characters. They don't do much. They're killed off. Sure, they're back alive, kinda, but we don't see them in the future, because they just want to show us some nostalgia. Oh look, here's Iceman. Oh look, here's Rogue. Oh, here's Colossus. Here's Kitty Pryde. Oh, here's Charles. That's it. Some of the guys from the original movies. Who gives a fuck about Sunspot, Bishop, and all the new characters we introduced for this one movie and this one movie only? They finally do something with Quicksilver that they introduced all the way back in X-Men Origins, and they didn't really do anything with him. He was just a brief cameo. They finally do something with him, though that does mess with the timeline once again before they reset the timeline, because he was all the way back in X-Men Origins, Wolverine's origins, decades ago. Sure, they're in the past now, the 1970s. Wolverine has his bone claws. So yeah, he should be a bit younger, but still not that young. Actually, it doesn't make sense at all. Because he gets his animadium claws while Quicksilver was still, a little kid? And he's a teenager in this movie? And once again, the new movies want to do the black characters dirty again. In X-Men First Class, they killed off an unkillable mutant. That's like his whole power. He can't die. It's not a healing factor. He just can't die. Well, this movie kills off Storm after she doesn't do too much. She does one big thing near the end of the movie where she takes out a bunch of Sentinels. And in X-Men 3, they were setting her up to be the leader of the X-Men. Because how Scott got all depressed and Jean was gone. She was going to be the new leader when Charles passed away. She was supposed to be a big deal. Well, she probably has about 5 minutes of screen time. Maybe less. Gets killed after she does one big thing. And then the other black character, Bishop, one of my favorites, another one of my favorites, gets killed immediately after. A bunch of Sentinels start shooting at him, and then he explodes. And then they take a good 7 minutes before they start killing off characters again. Because now all the black characters are dead. It's probably not that deep. It just feels like it since they've already done that once in the new movies. And like I've already said, they replaced a black character, Trask, with a white character in this movie. Before they even reset the timeline. It's just so weird. There's no main black characters in this movie. And the ones that are just get killed. They're the first ones to get killed. Iceman returns, but they set him up with Rogue, which pissed me off. Because in the comics, he's gay. It's been like that for quite a while. They haven't shown any representation in the X-Men movies at all. It's not something you have to do, but that's kind of the point of the X-Men. Is that they're, people that are discriminated against. Like gay people. That was the whole reason Stan Lee made them. It was because of the treatment of gay people and black people. In any race, really. And you have a gay character and you bring him back, but you set him back up with the girl. It makes no sense. They reset the timeline. Wolverine's a professor now. He wasn't in the original movies. He was a substitute teacher in the third movie. That was it for Scott. So why couldn't we have Iceman been with a guy? That's just too hard. He was in the scene for 5 seconds. What was the point of showing him holding Rogue's hand? And then walking off the screen to never see Iceman again? Happy ending? I just think it's dumb in my opinion. Blink is in this movie. She doesn't do much. She uses portals every now and then. Kitty Pryde. Now, there's a big deal with his character. And yes, I'm saying Kitty Pryde is a he. And that's because the actor is a he. I had that same problem with X-Men 3 where I had to do that. So even though the character is female, the actor is not. So I'm not going to call the character a female. But anyways, Kitty Pryde gets stabbed by Wolverine with his claws. Main problem, these things rip through everything. And there's only 2 characters that we have seen that were major characters that have been stabbed by Wolverine's claws that I remember. Mystique in X-Men 1 and Rogue in X-Men 1. And Mystique somehow survives. It's crazy, but she does. They don't really explain how. She just survives. I think I criticized that in my X-Men 1 review, but I don't remember. Rogue survives only because she steals Wolverine's powers of healing. So how is Kitty Pryde surviving, and for that long? It's been several days in the future. We get that confirmed by Charles himself once Wolverine sees Stryker. He's like, "You've been with us for the past few days." So how long has it been in the future? How long has she been bleeding out from metal ripping, her stomach? Well, his stomach. It's so weird to refer to Kitty as a guy, since the character is a girl. But I'm trying. I know. I don't want to do that because, it's Elliot. He's a guy now, so it's weird to refer to his character as a girl. It is weird. I tried to do the same with Ezra Miller's character in the Kevin movie I can't remember the name of. We need to talk about Kevin. Anyways, Mystique still sucks. She has like 2 good lines. And one of them is when she's not Mystique. It's when another actor is playing her. It's during the scene where she saves Havoc and Toad and a few other mutants. And it's only good because of the delivery. I don't think the line's that good. And I liked her line when she basically tells Magneto, "Hey, I could have killed you, but I didn't." Though I still think that line is kind of stupid, since Trask is supposed to be her first kill. And Magneto's kind of hinting that she killed people before. It's weird. But yeah, both Magnetos are in here. The other Magneto slowly bleeds out. I don't even think he dies, actually. I don't remember him dying. He probably did. It wasn't that memorable. He didn't stop all the things in time. Has a few words with Charles. The Iceman's getting murdered. And then the Sentinels are about to kill Charles, and then the scene ends. Colossus has no lines in this movie besides one, I'm pretty sure. So it still seems like he's a glorified extra. Beast doesn't do too much. He's mostly just a distraction. Like, "Hey, I'll do this for you. Go do it." Probably the best joke in this movie is when Wolverine goes through a metal detector. He's like, "Oh, hey, I didn't go off because I don't have my metal claws yet." Just a subtle joke. If you blink, you'll miss it. Oh, and they actually reference X-Men 1, which I was very surprised. It's like the least relevant out of all the movies. They reference how Toad joins Magneto. There's a scene when Magneto's talking about his brotherhood and how he wants people to join him, and Toad's watching the TV, shaking his head. He does not return to X-Men Apocalypse, and I guarantee he is not in Dark Phoenix. So I don't get the setup. I guess it's a cool Easter egg. Well, he gets murdered by Storm, so cool setup. Well, they reset the timeline so he might survive in the future. Maybe he kills Storm in the future instead. Oh, and Warpath's in this movie. I completely forgot about Warpath. He's like so boring. It's not the actor's fault. He just barely does anything. And most of his lines are like, "They're here. They're coming." And then, rah, when he gets angry. Speaking of angry, they kind of make Beast like Hulk in this movie. He gets punched and he's like, "Oh, time to turn into Beast." Like he's getting angry like Hulk when he turns into the Hulk. It's kind of dumb. It happens twice in this movie. And the second time is when they try and go stop Mystique from killing Trask. Speaking of Trask, they could have just, grabbed him. I don't know why that wasn't an option. Or why Magneto didn't think of, killing her. Not her, Trask. If he's really, all about the saving the mutant race thing, you would think he would sacrifice himself. Because he later states in the movie that if they take him to jail, he's going to die. Because they already killed Azazel, Angel, Banshee, and a few others. Oh, and speaking of that, they don't mention Riptide. I found that funny. They're having this dramatic argument, and they're like, Azazel, Angel, Emma, and then Banshee, who didn't even go with Magneto. So I guess he just later found out that Banshee died, and he felt bad. And I can't believe they killed off Banshee off screen, too. They killed so many characters off screen. What was the point of bringing Banshee, a brand new character, in, and all the other brand new characters in, just to kill them? They don't mention Riptide, though. He was literally with Magneto. And Magneto doesn't care about him. He's not important enough. Although I guarantee that scene would be kind of goofy, though, with Riptide's name, to be fair. Since I don't think he's called Riptide, but like one scene in X-Men First Class, and like I said, he doesn't do much in that movie. So him saying Riptide probably would have confused a lot of people. You're like, who the hell is that? Yeah. They also have a line where they try and quote something from just a few years ago. From First Class, which is in this timeline. Wolverine is not in this timeline, but it kinda is. But X-Men First Class is the very start of this whole past timeline, where it's in the past. And one of the lines in the movie is a cameo with Wolverine. It's just simply a cameo, a cool cameo, funny moment. Magneto and Eric go to recruit him, but obviously they didn't recruit him yet since he's recruited in the future X-Men movies. So it's supposed to be like a ha-ha funny joke. He's obviously not going to join him, and he tells them to go fuck themselves. Well, in this movie, Charles tells him to go fuck off. And he says it like Wolverine said that. It's not the exact line, which just bothered me. Like, go fuck yourselves, fuck off. That's not the same thing. The opening scene was probably my favorite scene, even though they killed a bunch of characters, which I thought was unnecessary. Because it's still a pretty good opening scene. And this scene, I didn't like the on rewatch that much. It was a decent scene. Cool seeing Wolverine with his bone claws again. But it seemed like Wolverine took way too long to kill those guys. They weren't trained. They were just some random thugs. Not really thugs, but you probably understand what I mean. I think he takes a good 15 seconds to kill him. He killed trained soldiers in X-Men 2 faster than that. He's killed other mutants faster than that. Or at least just a little bit slower than that. And these guys, took him a few seconds. Sure, he wasn't used to his claws, but whatever. And one of the coolest details I thought was when he tries to stab the Sentinel. And then he can't really do anything to it because his bone claws aren't going to tear apart that thing. They're too weak. And I love how they still had to market the movie as if Wolverine had his metal claws. Speaking of which, he barely uses his claws in the movie. Because, he's got to be careful. Can't kill people. I think that's just an excuse that they didn't want to put his bone claws in the movie. But that is obviously a big reason why he doesn't use his claws in the movie. Because it's not like the normal movies. They're going on a mission. They have to do it a certain way. Though I do think one of the stupidest things is, though, when Wolverine and Beast go to try and stop Mystique and a cop or a security guard or something stops them and is like, well, you can't go past this point. And they just stop. This could be the end of the world. You guys might all die. The future is dark. almost all you guys are dead in the future. And you're like, well, the security guard told me to stop, so I'm gonna stop. Like, no, I think that's just genuinely dumb. Just push him away, knock him out, and go get Raven. Simple as that. But nope. Then Mystique go. And I want to go back to the Trask thing. I don't think I fully explained myself. Why didn't Magneto just kill him instead of Mystique, and then he get killed instead of Mystique? Or just them simply take him and hide him somewhere? I don't understand why the whole mission was just Mystique. Yes, you're supposed to stop her from killing Trask, but you can also just try and save Trask. Not just try and save him from her. Just take him someplace safe. Tell him what's going on. Show proof. Do something. But no, their whole plan was to just tell Mystique, hey, killing is bad. Even if you don't like the guy. And then that's as far as they thought. But it's still a genuinely great movie. And it's my second favorite one in the series. Those Sentinels were kinda lazy. And they didn't really do much. Besides the future ones. But they still didn't do too much either. They just killed a few people. I didn't get to see much of them either. But yeah, I guess that's about it. I'll probably be watching the Deadpool movies next. And after the Deadpool movies, I'll continue the X-Men series. Because it's only 2 Deadpool movies. And they're loosely connected to the X-Men movies, so whatever. And then after Apocalypse, Logan, and then the final movie, and the only movie I haven't seen, Dark Phoenix.